Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing all right. And I am doing all right too. I really am. First, I would like to start by saying thank you very much for tuning in today. I tell you, I really do appreciate it. And I would like to welcome all of you to this episode of TJ's Topics. That's right. And I am sure enough glad to have you with me. I consider it a joy, an honor, and a privilege to be able to come into your presence on any given occasion. Now, today, I want you to know that I am beginning a brand new series. This series may be a little bit uh you may consider it as controversial or downright stupid. But all I can say is that I hope you don't get offended by it, because there are certain words that I'm going to be breaking down throughout the rest of this month in this series. And unless you're one who, you know, can tolerate stuff like that, then you may not want to tune in. Nevertheless, I'm going to continue on with this series throughout the rest of this month. And so today we're going to do the first installment, which is a breakdown of the word whore. That's right. WHORE, whore. Now, a slang term for that might be hoe, which would be spelled HOE. You hear that on the street all the time. But we're talking about that, a breakdown of the word whore. And here is where I'm going with this. Now, we all know what a whore is. You know, a whore is a prostitute, a woman who sells her body for money, sleeping with random men, having sex with them in exchange for financial gain. That is the definition of a whore. Now, whores are described in detail throughout the scriptures. And I'm going to give you 3 of those verses right now in the scriptures, beginning with Proverbs chapter 23, verse 27. And all these verses, by the way, are coming from the King James Version. Proverbs 23 and 27. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The second verse, Leviticus chapter 21, verse 9. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaned her father. She shall be burnt with fire. Oh my goodness, how dreadful that sounds. And finally, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall into whoredom and the land becomes full of wickedness. Those are the 3 passages in the scriptures, all coming from the Old Testament, outlining details and descriptions regarding what a whore is. But that is not what this lesson is about today. That's not what I'm coming to talk about. We're not talking about prostitutes, women who sleep around with different men. I have a totally different meaning of the word whore, which, in essence, the breakdown of the word whore. WHORE. Each letter stands for something different. And it's an acronym, the word whore. If you put in all capital letters, it's an acronym that I created last year. I came up with this last spring, And I wanted to cover this in an episode last year, but because I was getting ready to go on vacation, I just chose to put it off. Well, I decided to not put it off this year. And so here we are. We're going to cover it right now. So the meaning of each letter in the word whore, WHORE. What does that stand for? W stands for working. H stands for hard. O stands for on. R stands for reaching. And E stands for excellence. You put it all together, WHORE, whore, and that's the acronym, like I said before, and you have this phrase, working hard on reaching excellence. And that, my friends, is the breakdown of the word whore. So that's pretty much it right there. And tell me what you think about that. Do you think that's a good breakdown of what we would consider to be a negative word, one that describes women in a not so pleasant way, a very unpleasant way, I say, not so pleasant, but unpleasant altogether. So let me ask you this before I go. Would you consider yourself a whore? Would you in any way like to be a whore? Not the kind that sleeps around for money, but the one that I just described, WHORE, working hard on reaching excellence? Would you like to be that kind of whore? Because I'm here to tell you, you can be if you put forth the effort. It doesn't take much effort to do anything negative. You know, it sure don't take no effort to get in trouble. But it does take quite a bit of effort to do something positive in life. And one of those things is to stay away from negative people, negative influences, because they can be detrimental to your success. So I don't know about you, but I wouldn't have a problem being a whore. And that I don't mind working hard on reaching excellence. That's something that all of us should try to do throughout the course of our lives if we can. So this concludes this lesson today and the first installment in this series. So be sure to tune in next time when I will have the second installment in the series. And the second installment will be a breakdown of the word bitch. BITCH. What does that stand for? Tune in next week and you'll find out. This is Taryn Jerome Harris reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. And before I go, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this moment to wish all of the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. This weekend, I want you to enjoy yourself, have a good time, and please know that you are loved, cherished, admired, and appreciated. And we're so thankful for you. And for those of you whose mothers have crossed over, know that our hearts go out to you. And we sympathize with you. And I hope that you cherish the memories that you have of your mother and know that she's still right there with you in spirit. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you again next time, okay? I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.